Third grade, today we're going to print make. Printmaking is the process of making lots of copies. This was an important part of life before computers and copiers and printers, the technology, because this is what they used to just make books. Printmaking came around when they decided to make books. They would take metal letters and put them in a machine called a printmaking press and put the paper on top with the ink in the middle, run it through the printmaking press, pull it off, and then that would be how the book was made, because the letters would form words. There are lots of different types of printmaking. You can scratch into a piece of styrofoam to make something. You can carve into materials. You can stamp for printmaking. Today we're going to do what's called monoprinting. Monoprinting is a one-of-a-kind print. Mono means one, and monoprinting produces something that can only be produced once. There's no way you can produce it over and over again, but it is really fun, quite messy, and I bet you will have a blast. For our monoprint printmaking, we are going to need paint, a brush, paintbrush. You're going to need Q-tips and paper, which your prints are going to go on. Okay, there are two ways that we're going to do this. We're going to do one way that's called additive printmaking, and one way that's called subtractive printmaking. To do these, we're going to learn about the color families: primary, secondary, warm, cool, and complementary. And one thing to keep in mind is you can't use words and numbers. To begin, you are going to be given 4 pieces of this really nice paper. It's kind of a thin paper. It's very easy to see something through it. On the back of these papers, I need you to write your name as well as your class code. Remember, we write our name in the top corner. You guys are 3rd grade, and then the first letter of your teacher's name with a circle around it on every paper. When you're done writing your name on every paper, you're going to take these and put them on your chair. The reason we put these on our chair is so that they're out of the way and we don't have to worry about them getting messy. Now, before you can begin, you need to pick a color family. Here are some general names of color families. Primary colors are the basic colors. They can't be made, but primary colors can be mixed together to make secondary. The primary colors are blue, red, and yellow. The secondary colors are made from the primary colors: purple, orange, and green. These two, blue and red, make purple. Red and yellow make orange. Yellow and blue make green. Then you have the warm colors, which are colors that remind us of the warm temperature: yellow, orange, and red. You have the cool colors, which remind us of coldness: purple, blue, and green. And then complementary colors are colors that are very opposite on the color wheel. So if you take a look at the color wheel, you will notice that green and red are opposite of each other. You'll also notice that purple and yellow are opposite, and orange and blue are opposite on the color wheel. You may choose one. I have chosen the warm color family, and I'm going to use the warm color paints. Okay. The different techniques that we're going to be doing, again, are additive and subtractive. Let's start with additive. Additive is simply taking a color and adding it onto your surface. Then you'll put your paper on top of it and peel away the paint to make a one-of-a-kind print. Now with additive, you can design something on your paper, Or you can just do lines and shapes. Remember, you may not do words and numbers. The reason we don't do words and numbers is because they will flip and be backwards, okay? So with a paintbrush, I'm going to do lines and shapes inside of my rectangle. Now, at your table, I have already put out a square of tape, actually a rectangle. I made sure that this rectangle is the perfect size for your paper. It's just a little bit smaller so that your paper fits inside of it exactly. When you're painting, make sure to stay inside the tape. This will help you make sure your print piece comes onto your paper, okay? So with a paintbrush, you're going to, in the colors you've chosen, make a design inside your rectangle with the colors you've chosen. It can be any design as long as it's not words or numbers. Now that I have my design on here, place my paintbrush down in a safe spot not too far away so that I don't make a big mess. And I'm going to grab my paper from my chair. Now, I need to make sure that my name is facing up. Otherwise, if I put it on here facing down, my name will get covered by the paint. My name facing up, I'm going to carefully make sure that my paper ends up inside the rectangle. I can hold it in my hands, put my fingers on my table, and eyeball where I want it to go, just to double check. As soon as you set it down, the paint transfers to the paper. You may not wiggle it once it's set down, otherwise it smears. And I'm going to take my hand and just rub it across. And as you notice, my design is starting to show through. That means I'm successful. I placed it where I wanted it to go. I'm rubbing with a flat hand, pressing hard, but not so hard the paper wiggles. Now, when I pull it away, I want to pull away slowly to make sure everything showed up, that there aren't any white spots that I wanted. Check out this. There's some white spaces inside of this design, so I'm going to spend some more time pressing down there to get those white spots to disappear and pulling off my print. Okay, it's a duplicate of what I painted. When I'm done, I will take this to the drying rack. Now, subtractive is where you put paint down first and then you take away the paint with Q-tips or some other material, whatever you have at home. So you're going to take your paintbrush and fill in the rectangle. Be careful to stay inside the tape. You want to work fast, otherwise the paint will dry, and you want the paint to be thin, but not so thin that it dries. The deal is if it's thick, then it will glop on your paper and it won't turn out as you had hoped. But if it's thin, then it won't glop. If it's too thin, it dries fast. Now I'm done painting. I'm going to place my paintbrush down. With Q-tips, you are going to pull away, such as that, and the paint goes onto your Q-tip. You're going to have to rotate your Q-tip around so that you're pulling away and that the Q-tip doesn't get too full. Now, you can design anything as long as it's not words or numbers. Maybe this time instead of circles and dashes, I'm going to do triangles. Once my design is on the table, I'm going to grab the paper from my chair, make sure my name faces up, eyeball it so that I know it is inside the rectangle, place it down without wiggling it, and firmly with a flat hand rub across my paper. Yes, your hands are going to get messy, but no big deal. We'll wash our hands and our tables after class. Peel the paper off, and your design has shown up on your paper. Take your paper to the drying rack. For all 4 of your papers, you can choose to do additive or subtractive, or a combination of both. Remember, subtractive means that you use the Q-tips to pull away things that you don't want, and additive means to paint on things that you do want. You can combine the both like I did here by adding lines to my leaf shapes. The colors I chose reminded me of fall, which helped me choose my imagery. When you're finished with your design, remember you pick your paper up off of your chair, make sure your name is facing up, and then put it onto your painted design. You rub firmly, pull it off, and take it to a drying rack. We are not going to use water. You are simply going to take a paper towel to each design and wipe up the wet paint. You start with a flat paper towel, kind of rub in circles, and it looks like it's just smearing it, but if you fold the paper and start with a new side, then you can start to wipe away more paint. You'll need a couple paper towels for each person's spot, and we will leave the paint kind of messy like this, because if we get it wet, then the tape will come off, and we don't want the tape to come off. We want to leave that for the next class. Throw away the paper towels, and we're done and clean up.